Hey guys, welcome back and welcome to the channel. I've had a request. Someone wanted to see how to do a realistic landscape terrain. Um, so we're going to make a new island. Let's just go to the island templates and create a blank island. I'm just going to call it realistic. Click create. And once it loads up, we're just going to delete these grid planes. So we're not going to need those. Our player starts. Let's actually just take those and raise them way up so that our landscape doesn't like swallow them. And then we'll just put them back wherever we need them. That way they're just easier to find. Once I do that, I'm just going to click File, Save All. And then if you don't have like a really good computer, if you don't have like 32 gigabytes of RAM, then you might want to go ahead and close your UEFN editor because we're going to open Unreal Engine. And when we do that, it's going to take a lot of your hardware. So if you go over into engine versions in your Epic Games launcher and go under Unreal Engine library and then engine versions, and if you don't have 5.11 already installed, click this plus right here, and then it'll let you select it from the list, and then you have to install that completely. We're going to use this to actually take Quixel materials and move them over into our Fortnite project. But those materials aren't available yet on the fab, so we're going to do it manually. And then once it loads that up, go ahead and click your launch button. It's going to launch the Unreal Editor, and it's going to take a lot of time. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you I'm going to stop this video, and then once that loads up, then we'll create our project, and then I'm going to stop the video again because it's Unreal Engine 5. It takes a lot of resources, and it has to do a lot of processes when you first start it up. Okay, once the Unreal Engine project browser opens up, then you can select any of these, but I'm just going to select blank. But if you want to actually play around with Unreal Engine, it's probably best to pick third person. I'm going to make sure that I've got starter content selected because we might use that later. I'm just going to leave it in the default location, but I'm going to name it Gateway. And it's because I'm going to use this as a gateway to bring things from Unreal Engine, like the marketplace and stuff, over into my Fortnite Creative. And just click create. Make sure that blueprint, desktop, and maximum are selected and starter content selected. And this thing is still downloading features. I had my computer crash last weekend and it's still trying to recover from it. It's probably going to take weeks because I had so much stuff on there. Anyway, I'm going to stop this video again, and if you're doing the same thing, you'll know why I'm stopping the video, because this is like a long waiting on these compile shaders right here, and then it'll do it again once we load the project. Once your project loads, it's going to have like this crazy island that it's built on its own. We're not going to use that. What I want to do is go over here to bridge, and if Quixel Bridge isn't already open, you click here and then go to Quixel Bridge. We're going to go to surfaces, and then we can just select some surfaces out here that we want to use in our new world. You got like some different things. You got like different types of grass, patchy, wild. I'm just going to pick maybe like, I guess this mossy grass here. And this is really important. What you want to do is you want to go over here, and it's set at medium quality right now. That's I think 2K, but it has like a 4K and an 8K, and it also has a 1K. I'm just going to select the 1K. I mean, you can select the 2K, the 4K and the 8K. You definitely don't want to select those. I know you want it to look realistic, but they are just going to take so much of your resources that you're not going to be able to do a lot. And these are just surface areas where you're going to cover these with rocks and trees and everything else anyway. So it doesn't really matter that much, but these do just look a lot better than the ones that are in Fortnite. And then I'm not going to click this download button because I seem to get an error when I do it. I always just go up here to the box that actually shows it and then click the download button. The lowest quality textures, they actually download pretty quick. And then I'm just going to click add, and that's going to add it to this project. I'm going to go back to bridge. We want grass. We want probably some sand. Let me find a nice kind of a beachy, dry, rippled, like a nice kind of beachy sand. Beach sand. And then just click the download. You can pick whichever one of these that you want. You don't have to pick the ones that I'm picking. It's just up to you how you want to do it. You have to select this beach sand right here in order to add it. Then it adds it to my project. Now we're going to need like probably some soil, like dirt. Let's see, just go to soil. And then they got different kinds of soil. I like the one that has like the little rocks and stuff in it. Rocky ground, salt covered rock. Yeah, I think I'm going to just pick this rocky ground right here. Download it. Then I can add it to my project and go back to bridge. And the last one we're going to need is like rock. Rock is kind of hard because you can't really tell what it's going to look like on your cliff faces. Usually try to get some light colored rock that says rocky ground. See if they have like cliff rocks in here. Let's see, cliff right there. And I don't want to get one that's got a lot of this stuff in there too, because it kind of doesn't look right. I mean, you really have to blend this stuff in a way that they all kind of match together. And if you don't, then it kind of looks weird. I'm just going to pick this rock cliff right here. But you can pick any one of these that you want to. I mean, they got different renders on here too, that if you want to look at different pictures of it. We're going to add that. Next, I'm going to just go back to my project, into the Mega Scan surfaces. And you see it has these 4 right here. You're going to go into each one of those and delete. There's a material instance in there. That's not something we want in our project. So we're going to delete that. Go into this one, delete that. Make sure that you delete these material instances. They do not work in Fortnite. They could cause you errors. Now, just hold down Shift and select each one, right click, and then click the migrate here. Now on this, it's got surfaces, and then it's got the different stuff there. You just want to make sure that the only thing in there is DN or ORD. You don't want to be importing anything else into your Fortnite game. And click OK. Now your Fortnite game projects are going to be, generally, if you just installed it to the normal place, then it's going to be inside your documents, Fortnite projects. And that one we just created called Realistic. Open and go into plugins, Realistic again, and then just click on the content. You don't have to enter the folder. If you go all the way into the folder, just back out. And then select the content again and click select folder. Now it's going to move all that into our Fortnite game. Let's go ahead and close this Unreal Engine. Now I can open my Fortnite project back up. Like I said, all my games are gone because I had to reinstall Windows. It was really bad. I was in a UEFN poking around at things I shouldn't have been poking at, so I don't recommend it. There are consequences, and I'm still paying for it. Anyway, once we open the project, we're going to actually go in and create a material, a landscape material that we can use to paint on our landscape, to paint these textures on our landscape rather than the default ones. All right, realistic. And when you come in, you should already be in your content folder inside realistic content. Just right click, new folder, and I'm gonna call it materials. Now go into the material folder, right click and select material. We're gonna call it M landscape. Now if you open that material up, there aren't any nodes inside of there, but what you can do is just leave this window undocked. If it automatically docks, just pull it out, because we're going to use it out here. And then go back into realistic content, mega scans, surfaces, and each one of these, we're going to start with the grass first, because your grass is going to be on the top, the very top layer. And we'll drop those three in there. Let me kind of zoom out so we can see what's going on in here. You can select all those and move them around. Then we're going to go with sand, because that would be directly under the grass. Then we're going to go back to rocky ground. That's going to be your dirt, your soil. It's going to be under the sand. And then we're going to add the rock, which is going to like cover our cliff faces and stuff. I can just take this and drag it back up. All right. If you right click here, you can select landscape layer. And it's called landscape layer blend. You want one of those. You're going to go down here to the layers. It says 0 array elements. Add 4 layers to that. You could add more layers to landscape, but I really don't recommend it. Unreal Engine is kind of fidgety, and some of your layers might get messed up later, and I wouldn't want that happening. It's better just to use 4 layers and then build on top with whatever else you need. So if you select the index down right here, you can call this one layer name grass. And then go to the second one, which would be index 1. It starts at 0. We'll call this one sand. Go down to our third one. We'll call it, I'm just going to call it dirt. And then we go down to the fourth one. Call it rock or call it stone. It's up to you. All right, we're going to need several of these. So we're going to need one for each base color, metallic, specular, roughness, and normal. So we'll just copy that. If you just push Control D, you can add another one. Control D, add another one. Control D, add another one. I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to look like a spaghetti mess when we get done with it. But in materials, there's really not a lot you can do when you're doing something like this, because every line just crosses over other lines. Start first with your, let's move these other ones out of the way for a moment. All right, I'm going to take this bottom texture sample right here. If you select that and it says T mossy grass, that's a texture. And then see how it has the D at the very back end. This one is a normal, and this one is what it is actually a mixed. It's a blended file that uses like multiple outputs. It uses different colors for different things. So with the texture sample, the regular image, we're going to put that into our first one. Take this one, dragging it down. Then the second one here, this I forgot what they call this thing, but this mix file, if you take the RGB and plug it into there, take the R and plug it into the next one, take the G, which is green, and plug it into the next one, and then we can take our normal map and plug it into this one. Then we take each of these plugs and plug them into the base color, metallic, specular, roughness, and then into normal. And we're going to do that for each one of these layers. So we're going to take this and just kind of move it up here out of the way. We know that's our grass. The next one we're going to need is our sand. Beach sand. That's our sand there. So you can just take it and move it over here where you need it, where it's easier to move, where it's easier to see. I hate clicking on these things. It kind of goes home when you start messing with things. Welcome to Unreal Engine development. I'm going to pull that out of the way some more, because we're going to need to put this one up there. Then the same with this one, the RGB here, we're going to plug it into the sand layers of the same nodes that we just used. Sand, sand, and then the normal into sand. And we can take those and move them up out of the way. Next, we'll move these over where we can get to them. This is going to be our dirt. And then dirt. Dirt. Dirt and dirt. You see the spaghetti now? There's just not really anything you can do about it. You've got reroute nodes that you can use in these, but with this many things going into these 4 layered blends here, then it's just not a lot you can do. It's going to be messy no matter what you do. And in the best interest of time, we're going to just leave it like that. We know what's going on. There. Now, there's a problem with these, and that is that these textures that they use here are all in like the scale of them is all different. And so we're gonna have to add something here to take care of the scale. So if you right click and start typing in text, COOR, our texture coordinate, texture coordinate. We're going to need one of those for each one of our texture sets. So I can just Control D, stick another one here, stick another one here, then stick another one down here. Then we can go to these and plug them into the UVs of each one of our textures. All right, looking good. All right, so that's our material. We're going to have to come back and save and change these later. I think you could do a multiply node on that. Let me see. See what better if we could. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Hey, it does work. All right. Um, Tell you what, just Control Z until you delete all those links that you just set up there. There we go. And what you want to do is pull this texture coordinate. We're going to save you a lot of time in the later on. If you hold down 1 on your keyboard and click, and it gives you a parameter, right click on that, and or it gives you a constant, right click on that, and then select convert to parameter. And we're just going to call it chord multiplier. Yeah, just call it multiplier. And then when you pull out of here, click multiply, and then just drag that into that. You see how this texture coordinate right here is set to U tiling and V tiling of 1 and 1? Well, we can use this multiplier node right here. Select the default value to 1. And go ahead and hook them back up like they were to the UVs. We're going to do each one that way. And the reason that we're going to do that, the second one we're going to call multiplier 2, and then multiplier 3, and then multiplier 4. And the reason we're going to do that is because in the material instance, all you got to do is if you want to make that texture coordinate, if you want to make this texture larger, stretched across your material or across your object, all you have to do is make it like a small number, like 0.1, which is all you do here. But this just uses a multiplier for that. That way, when we go into material instances, you don't have to reload your material every time. You can just go into your material instance and select this parameter here, and then we can change it. So if you take those, Control D. Actually, I'm going to delete. I'm going to just delete them so I just save us plugging in these. And then we're going to add, make sure there are 4 of those. Then I can go back and make another, hold down 1, convert to parameter. I'll call it multiplier 2. Or you can call it multiplier sand and the other one multiplier grass, or whatever you want to call it. But I'm just going to keep it simple. Default value 1, plug that in. Then I'm going to plug these in. Do the same with this. Plug me in. Why is that not selecting that? Multiplier 3. Make sure it has a value of 1. Multiplier 4. Make sure it has a value of 1. Get in there. All right. File. Save. Click this apply button right here. You can go ahead and close your landscape material. Then we're going to go back into our materials, and we're going to right click on that landscape, and we're going to select create material instance. That's going to call M landscape instance. It's a material instance. All right, once we have our landscape material instance, file and save all. Make sure everything's saved. I have a habit of doing it twice because for some weird reason it doesn't save everything every time for some stupid reason. But now go up here into landscape. Select your landscape. Now right here where it says material, click on this and then select clear so that it doesn't automatically apply that material, because we don't want that material taking up room in our game. I'm just going to leave this at like the default settings and just click create. You can do a height map or whatever you want to do. And I'll just throw in some like hills or mountains or whatever. I'm actually going to change the size of this a bit. Let me get that smaller there. So I can get me a cliff face there. I'm just going to do a quick example, and then I'll let you guys go and do your own stuff. If you go into paint, actually if you go back into selection mode, go ahead and click file and save all. Select your landscape, and then down here where it says landscape material, you want to select your landscape material instance that you created over here. It's going to turn your entire map black. Or it should anyway. Actually, it's just not doing anything. If you go back into your landscape and go into paint mode, you can see that it's got these new materials that it wants to set up here. I guess it doesn't turn it black in UEFN. It does in Unreal Engine. It just turns it jet black when you do that. If you just click these pluses right here, and then select weight blended layer normal, and then save it to the default location, it's going to start creating your layers. Date. Alright, dirt, and then rock. Alright, and then you see how that's all pockety right there? How it looks so weird? That's because the landscape layers, they're going to have to be, or the that scale is going to have to be adjusted a little bit. So go back into your materials folder and open that landscape instance. And now select this multiplier. This is the one for the grass. I can set that to like 0.1. And now you see what it done to the grass. It like broke that up and made it smaller. You can even make it smaller than that. The lower you go, the higher the resolution is going to be, or the lower the resolution is going to be, so that it actually brings it up to a larger scale. Let's see what the let's see what the sand looks like. If you just go into your paint, I'm gonna stick this up here so we can adjust it here in a minute. I'm gonna select the sand, then you just draw some sand, and you can see that's the same way. And I can select this sand. I'm gonna change that to 0.1, and that actually looks pretty good at 0.1, so I'm just gonna leave it there. And then if you select the dirt, and you can paint some dirt on there. I can't really tell how big that looks. I guess that looks fine. I don't know, you can lower it down a little bit. We'll make our dirt 0.7. Make our rocks a little bit bigger. And then if you just go to the rock, like if you want to paint this cliff face up here, then we can select our rock multiplier. We'll change that to 0.052 and see what that looks like. And there you go. Easy breezy. And rock's still that soil's still a little bit small, looks like, or a little bit big. Anyway, the different textures that you use, they're going to react a little bit differently, so all your numbers are going to be different than mine depending on what textures you downloaded. Then once you do that, any other things that you want to bring over here, if you can't find them in Fab, like I can go over to Fab and just find like rocks, or this mossy rock right here, add to content browser. Okay, it's added. I can close that. Realistic shared assets. Where did it put that at? Oh. Referenced content folder. Okay. And there's my mossy rock. Doesn't quite match. You could even go into the materials on that and change it if you wanted to, though. Let's see. Go back into your selection mode. I don't know if we can mess with the materials on that stuff or not. Yeah, they got it locked. They won't let us look at it. Anyway, you have to find stuff and then find like colors of like the soil and stuff that you would want that'll match stuff like this. Now that doesn't have a bottom still. So you see how that really doesn't match? You would have to find a rock that matches this grass, or you have to find the grass. I think it's called mossy ground or something that will match that rock if you wanted to use these kind of rocks. So anyway, you guys have fun. If you guys make some cool stuff, post it on the comments so I can see it, because I don't never get to see what you guys make. Yeah, I left those way up there. It won't let me select them. There we go. There we go. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Like and subscribe. If you want any more requests, just post them in the comments. If you want to see something, there's something you want to figure out. If it's something I can do, then I'll do it. I appreciate it, guys. Have a good evening.